Hello everybody, High Flyers Tag Team back here again with another video again today. Just like I said a few videos ago, any new viewers here, these videos do go unscripted, so if I make any mistakes or get a little confused with something, just know I kind of do these off the top of my head. This is a video though I've wanted to make for a few days now, and it's a good thing I waited a little bit before I made it, so let's go on ahead and discuss it, shall we? I want to discuss what all factors I think could really affect the GVK box office and performance. And some of them are kind of a little bit out there, but I think for the most part, you know, we have a couple good ones here. So I think the first thing really would be critics. Pretty obvious one. There's a big thing where people believe that critics can make or break a movie. Personally, as of what I've seen, I don't believe that necessarily. Venom got horrible reviews and still made $800 million. Just because reviews are bad, while it might sway some people, especially general audience members, from not going to see the movie, I don't think it makes or breaks. You know, some movies that get horrible reviews still do extremely well. I believe Rise of Skywalker got, like, the worst reviews of any Star Wars movie, yet that movie did pretty well. But yes, I think definitely critics could hurt the movie in the box office, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it being too big of a deal. And I don't think you should either. I don't think we should really rely on critics anymore to be like the main source of what brings in the crowd or what brings it out. I just think it comes down to different factors altogether. The next thing is general audience interest. What I mean by that, in case you don't know what I mean, this is a really, again, kind of might be a stupid one, but it's really simple. Monsterverse and kaiju genre as a whole is kind of it's not super popular among the general audience. We have seen it be successful a few times in recent years, Godzilla 2014 and Kong Skull Island, but it's not necessarily known as being a really popular kind of genre among the general audience. If they come see it, they come see it, and it's great, but like, we saw with King of the Monsters, that if it came down to it, they would pick films like Endgame, definitely, Aladdin, you know, films like that over King of the Monsters. King of the Monsters, just not anything against that movie or anything. It just kind of goes to show that sometimes the other films will be picked. 2014, I remember it did really well against the Amazing Spider-Man 2. That was just an awful movie. But then when the X-Men movie came out, it really hurt 2014's box office. Days of Future Past, but that movie's great. So there's stuff like that that could affect it as well. I'm not sure if it will play a big role in GVK or not, especially since people do know Kong. Kong is a really big moneymaker, especially among like the American audience. And I think Kong will bring in a lot of general audience people, a lot more than Godzilla can. I think Kong is what's really going to be the make it or break it, because you're going to have people that love Godzilla and stuff come and see this movie. You're going to get the Kong fans and the general audience, you know, if they, you know, see Kong's in it, I think it could really bring them in. Now, Kong Skull Island did do, like, I think it might have been the worst of the Monsterverse domestically, or the second worst. I know it did worse than 2014, but around the world, Kong Skull Island did way better than 2014 did. That's really what made that movie do so well, especially in countries like China. So you got to take all that into account too. So the next point I have is possibly marketing. I think this just comes down to how they choose to market this film. I'm hoping they take more of a 2014 approach. It definitely worked very well for 2014 back in the day. You know, as of right now, it seems like they're going to be patient and take more of a 2014 approach, but we don't know yet. Hopefully the trailers and stuff don't sell this film to be like too unserious, you know, to be kind of just like a silly movie or whatever, a silly giant monster movie. That might lure some people away. Hopefully these trailers make this film take itself really seriously by the looks of it, like 2014, and it looks dark, and it looks like it's really going to be the fight of the century. The marketing can definitely be a make it or break it. The King of the Monsters marketing was pretty bad in my opinion, and I can see that being quite a big issue of why King of the Monsters did so well, while films like Skull Island and 2014 succeeded. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with this one. Hopefully they market it just right, where it works, you know. Hopefully it's good enough to be able to attract people in. I don't know for sure if it will or not, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully marketing's done well. The next thing is possible delays or date changes again. The film's currently coming out November 20th, but with recent stuff that I talked about in yesterday's video and we'll be talking about again kind of in this video, it is possible that the date could be changed again. And with that, especially if marketing begins, it could kind of ruin some momentum going for this film. The momentum's kind of unlikely, but the only other problem with that then would be if it's moved to a month that possibly will end up being worse for it in the long run, or possibly, you know, like a month like August that a lot of films don't do very well in August. However, there are films that make the exception, like Hobbs and Shaw, Guardians of the Galaxy. I think a Jumanji movie came out and did really well then. I'm probably completely wrong, but I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, when that came out, did pretty well. There are some exceptions and stuff, but again, the month it comes out could make it or break it. It could have been better just staying in a different month than the month it goes to. Again, once again, and again, it doesn't mean anything. If it doesn't even, there's no confirmation the date will change, but if it is, that could be a factor that kind of hurts the film. No guarantee. It could help it in the long run. We'll have to see. The next point is competition. This film is going up against a lot, and it could keep racking up. We currently have the Eternals going up against it, which could be a really big deal potentially. The new James Bond movie got delayed and is coming out at the same time. Clifford the Big Red Dog, I believe Raya or something, and the Dragon, a Disney original movie. All these films could definitely hurt the box office. I'd say Eternals and James Bond have the best shots. However, with both these films, Eternals, I haven't seen a lot of interest in, like crazy big interest, that would really be on the point where I could definitely say that, yes, this film will break, GVK. The film could do really bad. I have no idea. It just depends on how many people go see it and how many times, and if they just spend all their money on that and don't come back for GVK. I think that really could affect it for Eternals. However, like I said, it doesn't seem like there's a big interest for it, and actually on a poll, it was under GVK for most anticipated movies of the year. So, from Fandom, or whatever the website's called. So, it's very possible, though, that Eternals won't do that well, especially with comic book movies seem to lose a bit of steam after Endgame. Bond, on the other hand, also, it doesn't seem to be very anticipated for. It's going to lose a lot of momentum and hurt itself by being delayed so much. And I would say that, there's a really big divide in the Bond community from what I've seen on that being, like, that film. I don't see that film hurting Godzilla, like, GVK a ton. I mean, it definitely will, dent it. There will be people to go see it no matter what. But, especially since it comes out only 5 days, it really only gives GVK a weekend of breathing room instead of like 2 weeks, like it was originally going to have. Movies like Clifford the Big Red Dog and the Disney cartoon, those both could be issues too. They could really attach the family, more of the kids' audiences into them. I don't know for sure if that will be a problem, but they could somewhat be a problem. We'll have to see. The next thing, possibly, which might be another dumb one, the election could somehow maybe affect it. I really doubt this is going to be a problem at all. The election is, like, on the 2nd. If anything, it would affect the Eternals more, hopefully. But I don't see it being too big of a deal. The only way I see it is that if something happens, and not to get political, but if something happens and there's a lot of riots or something, and people just don't take the time to watch the movie, I guess. It's the only way I could really see it happening. I mean, the film should be fine from the election since it comes out like 3 weeks after it, but there's a chance that the election could somehow influence the performance. It's very unlikely, though, so I wouldn't hold too much on that. The next thing, something not to take lightly of, the coronavirus could still be an issue by then. Currently, the coronavirus has shut down multiple theaters in countries like China. I believe Italy is going to be losing a handful of theaters soon. With that being said, that's definitely a big thing, especially if Chinese theaters stay closed. That's really going to hurt because GVK really needs China. Monsterverse so far has been successful as it is just because of China. If it loses China completely, I don't know, the Monsterverse is kind of in a yucky situation. I'm not super worried about this, though, just because it sounds like by May, China at least is going to get a lot of its industry opened back up, and possibly get several things like a lot of their movies and stuff back, or their movie theater stuff back open. So by November, China should be fine. Some other countries, maybe not so much. It could also affect it where more movies get delayed because of coronavirus and end up making more competition for GVK, whether it moves or not. It's undetermined at this point what could happen. So, yeah, I think that's about a good portion of points to make. There's probably more I could have made, but I think those are some of the really key ones to hit and stuff. If you have more points or anything, you can definitely write them down in the comments. I think that's a good list for me for now. Could update this video in the future. What do you guys think? Do you think the film's going to do well or be a failure? Just share all your thoughts down in the comments below. I really like to hear and read what you guys have to say. If you guys enjoyed this video, please, as always, share and subscribe. Have a good night. Peace.